right, all right. Hey, hey. All right, so Libras, I apologize for the false start that I had with you guys a few minutes ago. My fuzzy baby busted in and disrupted us, but um, we only got 4 cards deep, and I promised that we would still work with this exact storyline. By the way, when I'm done doing this live, I will put the link to that first 4-minute video where I actually shuffled these cards out so you can hear the original interpretation, but just know that their Aries was woofing and interrupting, okay, if you choose to watch that. But I'm going to do a recap right now. So this is a Libra bonus message. We'll keep it kind of brief, but it's just kind of a check-in. And what we have is we started with the 6 of Cups. I said, okay, this is pretty dreamscapey. It feels like 2 people used to giggle together, laugh together. There had to have been good times. But this is soulmates that are either longing for some kind of a reconnection, because the next card we got was the 8 of Wands. And again, we're up in the sky, and 8 of Wands is about communication. It's about talking. I said, okay, it looks like, I don't know if someone's ready to talk, but they're certainly dreaming about having that conversation. This is clearly 2 people that think about each other, and one or the other really wants to talk. And I think that that's, the reality of it is, if they have a conversation, what is that conversation going to look like? It's going to, like, this is not going to be some casual, any old kind of conversation. This is going to be a conversation that results in, you have to choose, I have to choose a timeline shift, because we can't do this. We can't do the parallel universe thing where we live not together but always apart in our own separate worlds. We're going to have to choose, what do we do? And so the conversation, like when this conversation is had, it's going to be a conversation of great gravity. So I think, oh, hi everybody, good to see you. Nikki ORS, Did ya? I'm sorry, please forgive me if I just got your name totally botched, but I'm honored you guys are here. This feels pretty serious because we got the 4 of Cups and it's sideways. And on this particular card, we can see that she's again up in the sky, up in the clouds, and she's sitting here and his head is open with like a little measuring tape and scissors and everything. And it's like, it almost says, whatever this conversation is going to be, she has no clue, but this could lead to a massive missed opportunity. This could be the last time that they talk. This is like, we're not messing around anymore. When we have a conversation, it has to be the real deal. It has to be where we make decisions about what we do now. And I really think, at least on her side, she has tried to figure out this masculine for a long time, and she's more confused than she's ever been. In her mind, I think she says, I don't imagine I'll ever understand what's going on with them. But I think since this card is sideways, he knows that about how she sees all of this playing out also. I know she doesn't understand. In fact, she may think this is all an illusion and all in her head by this point in time. He knows that. He knows kind of like how she has not been able to make sense of whatever happened between the 2 of them. Okay, and that card, by the way, I didn't really get a chance to say any of that on because my pup was interrupting. So we're into brand new territory from here on out. We got a 9 of Swords. Okay, so we have a masculine who is possibly written and rewritten because his whole body has script all over it, and he's like climbing the walls right now. He may not be sleeping because he's trying to figure out, what do I say to her? How do I talk to her? He's been trying to like claw his way out of, like, we'll say writer's block, trying to have a breakthrough. How do I open up this dialogue, or how do I say all the things that I need to say to her? Well, do you want to tell us, character? Knight of Pentacles. He's like, it's going to take a long time. I said this was going to be a bonus message and it was going to be shorter. And he's warning us right now. Okay, everybody unbutton the coat, get comfortable, because he might use interpretive dance at some point to also show his emotions and explain everything. But it's going to be a long, drawn-out story is what he's saying. Okay, we're going to try to help you get succinct, though, because he's saying he has to describe like his entire life story or his whole whatever has happened. And I just don't know. We have a Page of Wands. Oh, boy, he's starting when I was a child. No, he's starting, the pages can be the children, which is the only reason I'm making that joke right now. But he is going to try really hard to explain something about, there's this mourning, there's this sorrow, there's this, like, he wants to start with saying, like maybe describing something of his past first and foremost to her. Something about something that he wanted that was not granted to him. This could be, he wants to talk about a long lost love that set the stage for who he later became. 9 of Cups, something about, like, I don't know if he's trying to say that once upon a time he was in love with somebody who was super selfish, really self-focused, and he thought that they were an empress. Okay. Why do you want to tell her about an ex? 7 of Pentacles. Oh, because it messed up his head. That's why. Because he was messed up over an ex for a really, really, really long time. And I say that because we've got this music box for somebody's skull. And it could be that the ex said they weren't sure about him for a really long time. And he was really sad, really lonely, because even though he's a King of Cups here, you know, he's just a crescent moon head. So I feel like there's this loneliness that goes along with a moon. Every time I see particularly the crescent moon, there's a lonely energy to this. So I think he's just trying to retell to this feminine. Remember, she doesn't understand what the hell his deal was, right? She tried to figure him out. She measured his brain and tried to like crack the big walnut shell that was his head so she could understand him, and she couldn't. To the point where she was like, I don't even think he cared about me. It must have been an illusion. But God, I thought we were soulmates. He's trying to explain to her, maybe, although we can't find the words to say it, but this is his story of what he wants to describe to her, to explain who he is. Oh, I need to zip it because I was about to say something snarky. But this is his life story. Once upon a time, I loved somebody who was super into herself. I thought she was the sun, the moon, the stars, the everything. She was the person I most wanted to marry. And then it was a big confusing ball of worms. And I was really sad, but I was really in love. And I didn't get much for the love that I had to offer, other than a prolonged amount of confusion and maybe being kept forever wondering if she cared about me. So to balance that out, he decided he wouldn't show emotion anymore. And that's how she met the version of him where he keeps close, quiet counsel. He keeps all of his secrets, right? You can't figure out the puzzle of him because he was with somebody that he was very confused by, and he started to shut down more and more and more. And so then he decided, how do you balance out somebody that is, you know, keeping you like your brain is always spinning, not knowing what's going on? Well, you become more like them. So pretty soon he doesn't reveal much. Pretty soon he's the person you can never fill in the blanks on, because he doesn't want to give too much, doesn't want to offer too much, because he was kept forever in, you know, limbo land. So then he became, you know, I guess if she was the queen of limbo land, he's now the king of limbo land. That's how he chose to like cope, I suppose. Okay, I have to be snarky or rude now and say, okay, but I don't get it. You explaining that this is what you did, why'd you do it to somebody that wasn't that ex of yours? Like, why, if you know this is how you were operating and you know why, and you know it was from the ex, why'd you punish somebody new that you saw as a soulmate? Sorry, I shouldn't be putting in my 2 cents. We're letting him talk. Erase that. What is it? How does a judge in the court say, you know, you are required to disregard that? That has to be struck from the record. My 2 cents has to be struck from the record. We have the Fool. So then he's saying that he was still in that energy, right? He was acting like he was all balanced and everything, but really the way he found a coping mechanism that he thought was balanced is to never reveal too much. And then it's like he met her. He met her and she didn't hold back on anything. She loved him. She was open. She was straightforward. And if anything, and I'm not saying I agree with this, but you notice that she didn't hide anything. She was gung-ho. She would have Maybe she was very in love with him and showed it really openly. By the way, she could have a great figure, very awesome curves going on. But it's weird because he's saying, like, you were so ready to take a leap of faith with me. You were so unlike my ex. And I almost felt stepped on, or like I was drowning in how, straightforward you were, because this is what he primed himself for. You never show very much emotion. You always, and you certainly, in a relationship, you certainly don't like act like you're all into it. You always reserve, you always be a little sketchy. You always don't show somebody how into them you are. And he's saying that then he met her, and that was so different from what he had been so primed for. Okay. Is that good? Is that bad? What is that? Hanged man. Well, in this case, hanged woman. And so it made him like totally pull back, because he went from, okay, this, I can kind of wrap my head around this story to a certain extent, because what he's trying to describe is, here's what I knew. Somebody that messed with me, somebody that was very much about themselves. And that's who I was with. And I thought, well, I guess that's normal. And that's who I became over time. He might have been married to this person because she was an empress. And he says, and I did love her, but our relationship was, she was very much all about her. And we were together 7 years. And what it ended up being is, we found this balance where she didn't care to know anything about me. I no longer had anything to talk to her about either, but that was like, we just existed. And that's what I thought a relationship was. And then I meet you, and you're like, you want to know everything. You want to not have no moons in the room, no secrets. You talk about everything. You leap forward. You're warm. You're outgoing. The Fool card is very much willing to be open and explore and be excited to explore the world around you. And that was like, whoa. I just got comfortable being basically a freaking, like wet rag in a relationship. I thought, when you're with a partner, like, you expect that you both have the personality of lint. You don't share emotions. You don't have real conversations. And you just kind of like, as long as you're not fighting, you consider that a decent relationship. But then I meet you, and your passion and your, exploration, and your fun, and you care about the world, and you want to know everything about me. And whoa, that's a lot. So he kind of goes into retreat mode to kind of think about this. Like, wait a minute, I just adapted to this. I was conditioned for pocket full of lint. And instead I've got like a firecracker. I don't know, can I adapt now? He may be somebody who gets, this is a weird message, so bear with me on this, but he may be somebody who gets conditioned. You notice how he's really stressed. I'm wondering if he's a character who feels out of sorts, but then once somebody like trains him, like, this is how you behave because this is how I am, he like adapts to that, to be like, okay, well, I guess this is how it is, so I guess this is what I accept. I'm wondering if, without, everybody gets conditioned in some ways in life, right? I'm not saying he's like trainable, like he has no mind of his own. I'm just saying, if he was in a relationship and for so long, and it was a certain way, I can see why anything that's a complete reverse of that would be so new, he wouldn't even know what to do with it at first. And it could rattle him. It seems like he like, adaptation is not easy for him. Maybe he was primed or trained, like indoctrinated almost, to like make things work. So keep things calm, and that's a win. Even if it's empty, even if it's hollow, call that love anyway, and that's a win. You don't ask questions, they don't ask questions. Nobody really knows each other, but you look like a great happy couple. That's a win. He hasn't met somebody like her before, so he didn't know how to handle her. So he kind of went into shutdown mode. And this is what he's trying to describe to her. This is what he's having so much trouble articulating, like why he is the way he is, why he says or did things the way he did things. Because he shut down on her, almost like, oh, wow, you're too much. It was too much for him. Somebody who had a personality was too much for him. That's not an insult to her. Really, it's a compliment. But Ten of Pentacles, as he paused, and he might have paused for a long time, because I don't know if this cat gets through his thought processes very swiftly, because it's like he had to decondition himself and then think differently and then reconsider, wait, what would a relationship look like with somebody like her? I went from a pocket full of lint to a firecracker. Can I do a firecracker? Can I live in her world? Could I have a relationship that would be, we talk about all kinds of things, and she's interesting and she has all these ideas and she wants to do things with me and go places and live. Can I do that? And I think the more he thought about it, the more he was like, oh my God, it'd be amazing to be a part of that. With the 10 of Pentacles, yeah, I mean, that sounds like a way better time. Okay, so that doesn't really sound that hard or that long to explain to her. But his big thing is that he's got to explain what he had been used to and how different she is. I think that's the big turning point, because he doesn't know exactly how to get those words to her. Not to tell her like, you were so weird, but to tell her, like I said, I think the best way to say it is she has a personality. She is a firecracker. She is not this vacant, only self-attuned individual. She wants to know who he is. He's not used to that. He wasn't used to that. Now he's become obsessed with that. Now he can't stop staring at her. All he wants is to be in her world. Now that the door between them has been closed for quite some time, because they're staring through a keyhole. She may have literally said, I can't figure you out. I don't know what you want or don't want from me. Well, of course she wouldn't know. He shut down and went into hanged man mode. That's like the worst ever. That's where somebody goes, like, that was annoying, right? What was I going to say? How come I stop talking? It's that annoying. They just pause. It's freeze frame. It's like, what do you do when somebody just stops and you don't know the rest of their sentence? That's freaking annoying. And when they just stay silent all of a sudden and their voice just drops off in mid-sentence, at some point you can wait and wait and wait. And then you go, okay, well, I guess they're not going to finish talking to me. So I guess I just exit stage left. And I think that's what she came to the conclusion of. I'm sick of trying to figure you out. Maybe it wasn't even real anyway. Maybe I don't know who the hell you are. Maybe there's nothing more to you. Maybe we weren't a thing. Maybe there wasn't any flicker of anything. Maybe I'm tripping. She really started to doubt what was even real at all. But it's crazy because he's been doing the exact reverse. The more detached she's been getting from him, the more he's been like, no, I do want her. She is a firecracker. Yes, I want to be in her world. I want to go where she is. She could either be a good cook, or this is always like more of like an apothecary though. So I don't know if she likes making tinctures and, herbal this and that, or perfumes or something along those lines. But you notice he's staring at her through the locked door, through the keyhole. He is so passionate. His passion for her and being in her world and being a part of her life has actually grown and grown and grown in this time that he's been in limbo land. And she's gotten to the point where she kind of thinks that there wasn't anything real about him. This is now, it makes more sense why, if these two are going to be together, she's never stepping into his world. He would have to step into hers. And I know I shouldn't say it that way, because relationships are supposed to be about compromise, but none of this story has been about, well, I guess the whole story was about compromise, though, wasn't it? Because first he was with a person where he found, as long as I compromise and I am okay with never having a partner who cares about who I am, doesn't really want to get to know me, and I don't really talk to her either, but this is what my relationship is. That was him compromising to have something that was, that's a temperance card. It's super balanced. I don't know you and you don't know me. We just happen to be married. That was his level of compromising. Now he wants to compromise, if you will, to be in her world. I know it's kind of tough because it keeps being that he has to choose to like live in one feminine's kind of world or a different feminine's kind of world. But here's the thing. Remember, this card is really about choice. Two of Wands. Which lifestyle do you want to be a part of? Because when you choose a partner and they're so vastly different from each other, he can live like a ghost and be in a relationship with somebody that he doesn't connect to, or he can be with his firecracker that is red hot mama. I'm thinking that he already knows he wants his red hot mama, but he's the one who's got to join her world. It won't be vice versa, because she's kind of, I'm hearing that song in my head, say something, I'm giving up on you. I think she's kind of already given up on him. Let me just ask, for you, feminine, how do you view him at this point, if at all? Knight of Wands standing in front of a knight's armor in a museum. She says, I think it was just a weird little flicker of like he pretended to be interested, maybe just to get some kisses or get some intimacy with me just once or twice, but that's all it was. He's just a player. Okay, so she does not have a good opinion of him. In fact, she doesn't even think he's a very good player, because he wasn't even dressed in the costume. He was just standing behind it, like Photoshop style. So she really thinks, in some respects, she's spot on. He somehow was drawn toward her because she was so different, but then ran away from her. So in order for him to have been drawn toward her, he must have seemed gregarious and passionate at first. And then he was like, whoa, she's too much. I can't get this real with somebody, and then split. So it would have been like he was posing, because he was used to this weird empty land, this weird empty, like I say, the pocket full of lint kind of relationship. But he wanted a taste of something passionate. That's how he met her. But he didn't have staying power, and it freaked him out. I can see why she's like, oh, he's just a player. What I actually think it was is that he was battling like in himself, like what his true nature is. I think he's actually a more passionate person who had the misfortune of being in a very dispassionate connection, making that seem normal to himself. And then when he finally got a taste of what he actually wanted and what he went after, then it was like, whoa, circuit overload. A lot of adaptations for him that were not easy. How does this thing wrap up for her? 3 of Cups. All I can say is that in this storyline, he seems to be re-entering her world. And she, I think, if he can come in and be fun and be somebody who wants to be a part of her kind of like more open-hearted and loving life, she would welcome him back in if he actually has staying power. With the 3 of Cups, she is at least opening to hearing from him. Her biggest thing was she couldn't figure out what the hell was wrong with him. Why are you... I don't want to have to dissect your mentality. I can't understand you. So yeah, I want to hear from you. If you're ever going to tell me what in the hell was going on in that head of yours, of course I'd want to hear it. Queen of Swords, but she only wants truth. She will be the ultimate decider. And I have to say, she's in a wedding dress here. So I think on one hand, she would be willing to hear this person out. But I will say this. If he says anything that doesn't sound serious about, like if he just wants to come back in, tell her like, hey, this was my life story. And she does not know. At this point, we have the advantage of having heard his whole life story. She does not yet. But she would be very open to hearing it. But if he thinks he's coming in to tell her stuff and then romance her, she's like, it better be with a wedding ring. Like we've already crossed the threshold of messing about. So if he's coming back in to tell me some life story, I can either say, okay, thanks for all that info. You have no serious intentions toward me. Okay, peace out. She will cut him right out of her life so fast, and she will move on, and she will probably meet the love of her life and be married very soon thereafter, or it'll be him. But there's not any, you can't really mess with the Queen of Swords. This is that Libra energy. This is the, she's not going to tolerate anything that actually feels imbalanced or unfair. She would be very open and I think very kind-hearted in hearing their entire life story. But then I think she would ask the direct question of, so then what is it that you want with me? And I think if this is where we're on like eggshells, because if he gives the wrong answer on that, if he does not say that he is basically nuts about her, passionate about her, all the things that we've already seen he actually is, but if he still can't say it, if he's going to make her do a guessing game, she's going to be out so fast, so freaking fast. He basically has to come in ready to, like, she's in her wedding dress. That's how serious, that's how real this is. You either have to be that real to be with her, or you cannot ride with her. And she's not going to tell him that. He gets to choose whatever he's going to tell her, but she is going to ask, so what do you want with me? In this storyline, even the vantage point, I actually think this is such a pretty card, but they very intentionally, you notice how the angle of how we see her, we're like down here kind of looking up, kind of, the way like a statue would be, like the statue of Lady Justice would be kind of like elevated a little bit. This is her basically without real words, just with her own presence, like kind of saying, I deserve better. So are you here to offer me better? I don't think she's going to, queens don't tend to grovel, but this is who she knew them as in the past. You came into my life, you flirted around, you messed around, and then you ran off. What exactly are your intentions now? Because if it's anything less than you're nuts about me, you love me, you want to marry me, I can understand all the rest of it. You had to adapt, you had to change, you had to think things through because it was new. But if you don't know the answer by now, then let me tell you, honey, I do. And it's that I got to go marry somebody else. No games, no playing. I mean, this sounds like a tall order, but I just think there was already wasted time and kind of what turned into game playing, even though we can see he didn't mean to play games. But this whole, you got to try to put together the puzzle pieces, but I threw away the majority of the puzzle pieces. So you'll never be able to put it together unless I finally choose to tell you who I am. That's not super fun. I can see why she would be like, if this potentially could go anywhere, this is asking a lot of her to understand their mentality and then accept them back into her life. She's somebody who won't throw away love if she wants to see where this goes, but she knows better than to give somebody a second chance if they don't know where they're at, is what I would say. I don't think that's a problem here. I think he knows exactly where he's at. I think that's what this whole storyline has been about. But his biggest crisis, if you will, is how does he say all of this? I don't know. It seemed pretty simple to me. It seemed pretty straightforward with the storylines we got. Universe, do you want to weigh in on that Nine of Swords for him one time, though? We have a Knight of Pentacles and we've got the Ten of Swords. It's really because has it been too long? I didn't realize his biggest fear is how do I open dialogue with her when it's over, and it ended badly because he went into hanged man mode and he knows it's been a long time. Has it been too long? Does she only think terrible things of me at this point? Is there any way to undo this? How do I open up dialogue when I've been in hanged man mode for a long time? And I will say a long time because of that Knight of Pentacles. So he's going to have to figure out what to say. He's going to have to figure this out. Universe, anything else for him? I mean, always lead with the truth. Okay, you know what? This is probably the best message I've seen in all of this. What would he need to say to her? And the universe says, put yourself in her shoes. What would you think? Imagine, entertain the opposite side of the coin. Imagine you're her. And she meets somebody who comes in and is all sexy, fun and games, wants her, comes in chivalrous, comes in like wooing and amazing, right? Because he's even wearing silver armor, which is like noble. He's bringing her a rose. He's fabulous, right? And then you turn into this fucker. Sorry, sometimes the real me slips out too much. I cuss in my real life. I always have. I try not to here only because I know there's better vocabulary. I know that. But sometimes I still think it's appropriate and even funny because mofo is one of my favorites. But this was it felt like a soulmate, but then instead he turns into this Captain Confusion. There, that's probably a better way to say it. Captain Confusion, and I don't know what I want to do with you. What do you mean? You did last night. Last night you knew what you wanted to do. You came as a Knight of Wands. And then you go into bizarre wringing of hands, hanging back, not communicating, being super ice cold, and not letting me understand what on earth just happened. Why'd you do a 180? So if he can picture what that would have been like to be in her shoes and be on the receiving end of that, now maybe he could understand why she would maybe want to protect herself from him. why she may not feel safe with him, why she may think that he's hiding all kinds of things. So, what would she need to hear from you? How do you start a conversation with her? You would need to talk to her the way you would want to be talked to and fill in all the holes and all the gaps of all the knowledge that she doesn't have. You need to be an open book because once upon a time you were the big secret moon, and now she doesn't feel safe with you because she's sitting here as a squid deploying her squid ink, which is used as a defensive tactic by squid. So if she feels unsafe, she's going to hide away from you. She's not going to want to be around you if you scare her again by keeping anything back. So how do you open dialogue with her? Maybe by saying, I realize I've thought a lot about how it must have seemed to you, how you probably don't even want to hear from me, how you might be afraid to hear anything from me because you probably don't think that I'm straightforward, or you probably think I've lied, or you probably think I hid stuff. And I don't, will you listen? Will you let me explain things? I didn't hide exactly, but let me tell you my life story here. Let me tell you what headspace I've come from. Let me tell you how different you are from what I've known. You know, it feels like he's going to have to be able to get into her mind to be able to know how to talk to her. And all it is think about how would you want to be treated? I mean, it's that simple. Okay, I'm going to leave that one there. I hope that he is able to do that. That seems to be the best message out of this, even though I ruined it with my cuss words. But anyway, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Dee, thank you. John Schultz, great to see you. Thank you for the bouquet, love. Thank you so much. Holly Light, good to see you. Hi, RS. And Rita, you doll, thank you. Penny G, you guys are awesome. Hi, guys. Oh, I'm so honored. Shout out to you in Hungary. Okay, so let me see. Let me see if I can say your name. Meditacios Universum. Did I say that right? Or hopefully a little bit close to it? Thank you so much for being here, love. Please forgive me that I botched your name. But Juno Wild, good to see you. Maggie May. Hi, Shan. Voyager 2, good to see you again. Hi, Kelsey. Violet, hi, honey. Oh, no, I said Libra and Virgo will. Oh, Violet, you're right. You're so right. In that Leo video, huh? That's what you're talking about. I said we're going to probably have to do another Leo one, aren't we? Let me see. If you guys are up late, I'll do another Leo for you. Okay. I'll do it still tonight instead of just tomorrow. Oh, no. Diddy, I don't read for genders. I know it's hard to remember that when I go with whatever we see on the card. So oftentimes I'll say he and she, but actually this could have been the same sex couple, could have been reverse gender roles. I'm sorry I didn't see your comment earlier. I would have tried to make sure that I explained that a little bit better. Sometimes I forget to mention that, but no, in my storytelling, it's I just find that to tell the story and keep the characters straight, you know, I really look at the imagery on the cards and then I'm like, okay, we're going to call this character him and this character her, or sometimes it flip flops. It doesn't matter, but it's really talking more about the energy that character is in. So even if I say him or her, when I say that, what I mean is the masculine energy is considered the energy of the sun and the feminine is considered the energy of the moon. And so I usually look at it more like, you know, the sun projects energy, the moon is gravitational pull. So maybe that'll help when I say him and her. I'm really thinking of it more in energy flow than I am about genders. So that I'm sorry that I didn't get a chance to explain that better to you earlier on. Hi, Eddie. Good to see you. All right, you guys. And Violet, thank you so much for reminding me. You are so sweet. Thank you. All right, you guys. Yes, I'm still doing Virgo tonight. And then I will still do Leo also, okay? I'm so glad you said that. It's because SW, Australia, good to see you, love. Shout out to you down under. Oh, Meditacios Universum. You know, I think that depending on what device you're on, you may or may not see the join button. But if you wanted to become a member, you can do that. If you just want to subscribe, subscribing, you know, of course, is free. And you turn on your notification bells, then you know when I post videos. If you want to become a member, I do have memberships, and that's just kind of something that I do that's a little bit extra, a little bit different. Monday is kind of like Members Day, and I put out just kind of like members only videos, and I let everybody vote on what topics they want. And then I usually pick a winner every week and do a storytelling for a member. And then I also once a month go live for like 2 hours just for members and do card pulls. So that's kind of what goes on in the members corner. And sometimes we do other little perks here and there for fun, but you do not need to, of course, but if you want to, then that would be the join button. But I do know that depending on what device you're watching this on, you may not see the join button. My understanding, I think, is that iPhones sometimes don't show the join button. I think you can see it easier on a laptop than on a phone, but I'm not really sure, to be honest. I'm sorry. I can only see it from my end. I don't get to see your vision because you might be on a different device, but I think that's going to be the only drawback there. But anyway, I hope that helps. Thank you. That's really sweet of you. John Little, good to see you. Thank you again, Penny G. Really good to see you guys. All right. I will see you guys next for a Virgo bonus, and we will still do Leo tonight as well. I can't go back on what I said. Nikki O, thank you, love. So good to catch you. Thank you, Des. All right, guys. I'll see you next in Virgos.